Welcome to the Foxboro Conservation Commission meeting of December 11th, 7 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Town Hall. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxboro Cable Access. 7 o'clock, I will open the meeting, and I know a number of you have not been here at a meeting before, so if you need to speak, raise your hand, come up, and use the microphone. As this is being recorded by Foxboro Cable, all conversations must be recorded by using the microphones. I will acknowledge you as you to come up. With that, do we have any public comments other than what's on the, Mr. Rogers?
Yeah. And
You want to talk about the fishing derby?
yes.
Okay, why don't we do that while at the application, because we have an application at 7:05 for that purpose. So you can speak at that time.
He's saying, do you want to wait and talk about it when we're talking about the fishing derby?
Yeah, okay.
Is that all you need to talk about?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. Anyone else have anything special? David, you got some minutes you want to do real quick, like before the...
And we have minutes to approve November 20th, 2023. And the minutes were based on Foxborough Rotary Club came to discuss putting in a granite bench on the Lane property. One Patriot Place was requested a partial certificate of compliance. And then 1776 Revolutionary Way request for determination was reviewed. And then the Garrett's Plain Road bylaw request for extension was reviewed based on the additional information that the gentleman provided. And then Sousa Avenue, Barrows Road, River Bridge was going to wait for additional information after a site inspection and working with Mr. Buckley relative to the plan that's needed. Other than that, these minutes are accurate, and thank you very much, Diane.
So you're making a motion?
Make a motion to we approve the minutes of November 20th, 2023.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. It being 7:05 p.m., you want to read the...
Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Acts, and Foxborough's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, December 11th, 2023, at 7:05 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom, on a request for determination of applicability filed by the Foxborough Recreation Department for annual maintenance along the shore of the Neponset Reservoir at the Lane property on North Street, Assessors Map 034, Parcel 480, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. The application is available for public inspection in the Conservation Office at Town Hall. This notice can also be found on the Massachusetts Newspaper Publishers Association website.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Jim DeVellis. I'm a resident of Foxborough, and I'm here as a volunteer with my company, DeVellis Serene. We're civil engineers and landscape architects. I'm representing the town, who's my client. With me is Heather Harding, who's on the board of the recreation. So as you correctly stated, we have submitted a request for a determination of applicability, an RDA, for continued maintenance in order to have the fishing derby. The recreation department sponsors the fishing derby, and they've been doing it for the past 15 years. Last year, there became an issue there where There was a request for a formal acknowledgement of working in the buffer to have it, and it was just too late in the season. We could not have the fishing, or they could not have the fishing derby, and had to be canceled at the last minute. So it was very disruptive. So I know there was a lot of correspondence going back and forth on how to address it, so we thought the best thing was to file a formal request for determination and ask for permission to continue what's been going on for, like I said, about 15 years. So starting in 2008, the Recreation Department, members of this Conservation Commission, Fish and Game, Tree and Park, and a bunch of volunteers, in order to have the fishing derby done safely, because you can imagine there's a couple hundred kids in close proximity with hooks and fishing line. They simply go in and just cut the brush around the lane property. There's an isolated area where they do it. There's never been any incident. When this got canceled last year, I used to bring my kids when they were little there, so I went out and I walked it. There was a couple concerns, I guess, erosion and sedimentation from that, and also maybe precedents that other people might do it without permission. So what I did is I walked the entire property a couple times. I viewed it from a boat, and there's absolutely no erosion or sediment from that. In fact, the reason that we have to keep doing it every year is because it grows back, right? In the RDA, we submitted a dozen supporting pictures and paperwork. If you look at the other towns that we've submitted that have fishing derbies, it's basically grass that goes down to the water. We're not looking to do that. We're just looking to cut it off at the base, not root it up, and it grows back the next year to allow the kids in there. So just a little bit of the history in case you're not aware. Back in 2008, about 25 years ago, the town purchased all of that land for the sole purpose of open and passive recreation. So if you look at the deed, Conservation Commission has jurisdiction over the property. If you look at that deed, there's certain things that are allowed to happen on that property. Boat docks, a nature center, pavilions, boathouse, footbridges, a children's playground, recreation vehicles, exercise trails, parking, and specifically all the maintenance that goes with that. So we're not proposing any disturbance. We're not proposing anything that's allowed, just to work within the 25-foot buffer that they've been doing to allow it to continue. In the submission packet, we've given you plans. We've given you protocol of what has been going on. We just spelled it out. No heavy equipment, maybe a small chainsaw if a tree falls down or to cut the brush. No uprooting of any of the plants. No exposed bare soil. And then the Recreation Department has been good stewards of the property. They do it before, during, they're there, and then after they survey it and basically take out what you bring in, and it's better left after Founder's Day when they have it than what was there before they started with respect to maintenance of the trails. Canceling it last year was a hardship for the Recreation Department because they had the families signed up. It's also not just a day of fishing and education, but it allows them to promote their different programs throughout the year. So they took a hit last year. So I'm hoping, I'll turn it over to Heather and she can describe what goes on that day. I know many of you guys have participated. Last year, I want to thank you. Some of the members actually did go out and try to clear it just before the Pinewood Derby. Wrong group, yeah. Fishing Derby, but it just, the Tree and Park does it professionally. They do it thoroughly, and the effort that you guys did to do it, although it wasn't permitted, I know you tried to help, but it just didn't get us where we needed to go. So I'll hand it over to Heather. She can describe a little bit and answer any questions that you have.
Hi. So the Fishing Derby
For the record.
Heather Harding, Chairman of the Board of Recreation. So the Derby actually started back like in the 80s and it continued into the 90s, and then there was kind of a lack of volunteers and support staff to do it right, so it sort of faded away. And then we decided to bring it back in 2008 as part of our free recreation program. So we collaborated with, Conservation, the Fish and Game, Tree and Park, Bass Pro, the National Honor Society, the Cub Scouts, Lawton's Farm, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but there were a lot of groups kind of involved. And so all we're looking to do is to be able to continue to run this amazing event with the same people, the same way we've been doing it. We have about roughly 250 families that typically show up. The average age of the kids is between 5 and 10 years old. It's a town event run by the town on town-owned land that, we purchased back in 1988 for $1.5 million for expressly this purpose, to allow the citizens access to Neponset. In some years, conservation, some of maybe you guys, or I know Judy and Jane used to open the Learning Center that day as well and have some activities and learning things there for people as well. We joke about it and we say, small kids, small fish, but it's big fun. I mean, it's just for those of you that have gone, we can't describe it. I mean, it's just a great day, and it rounds out the Founders Day weekend. Leading up to that, we always walk the property. We go out with, tree and park to make sure, we have the fishing spots clear and everything. We don't tear anything out. We just have them, cut it down in the ground, which is why we have to do it every single year. We're not planning any changes to that. Our events are successful. We are good at what we do. People know that, and we set a high bar for our programs and our events. And a 3-hour fishing derby for kids means months of preparation for us, and probably an 8 to 10 hour day that day for all of the volunteers. But it's worth it. Everybody loves it. We foster and we teach responsible fishing and responsible use of that recreation land. Currently, there are no policies in place that govern this. And I say that because we do have a use of town property policy that the Board of Selectmen adopted in 2021. But the first sentence of that policy says, this does not apply to conservation land. And then there's an appendix. And in the appendix, the second line of that says, the commission is exempt from these regulations as they are tasked with maintaining and enhancing the land. So that's all we're asking to do, maintain and enhance the land, nothing more. The Conservation Commission's own Foxborough Conservation Land Rules and Regulations, which you guys approved in 2017, contains exactly the same language. It says that you guys are exempt because you are responsible for maintaining and enhancing the lands. So, we're not here as private citizens asking to, clear our yard that leads up to the lake. We just want to continue to maintain this town asset for everyone's recreational use as we feel was intended by the purchase and the deed language back in 1988. And that's pretty much why we're here, just to, get a maintenance plan in place and get everything solidified. So, and we're happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Okay, number one.
Yes.
I want to clear the air a little bit from last year. I know Mr. Rogers wrote a letter to us, and if it's all right with you, Ron, if I read just a portion.
You can read the whole thing if you want, sir.
Well, let's do the hunting at a different time. We'll deal with the fishing derby, okay? And I'm quoting the letter from Mr. Rogers. A recent case in point is the forced last-minute cancellation of the fishing derby, which was scheduled for our youngsters this summer. The derby had to be canceled because our conservation agent arbitrarily imposed an absurd restriction against nominal pruning of some catbrier vines, which were preventing shoreline access by the children. There is no logical reason why catbriers along the shoreline should not be trimmed to permit access. Their shoreline stabilization provided by the briar roots would remain intact. The briars would primarily rapidly regrow after pruning. The restriction was insane. Conservation resources were neither enhanced nor protected. Our children who were denied the fun of and excitement of a fishing derby were the big-time losers. If it is as if the conservation agent had a hatred for fishing and for children wishing to fish and was content to impose a ridiculous, useless restriction to indulge that hatred. I'm going to have to correct that statement by you, sir. Contrary to what you believe, the agent, several members of the commission, and I spent many hours cutting the catbriers down. If you go out there now, you'll see piles where we pile them up. Mm-hmm. We made access available by cutting the briars down. What we did not cut down was the native habitat, the blueberries and the other native plants. But no, we do not have a hatred for the fishing derby or anything like that. I want to set the record straight on that, sir. All right?
Okay. Let me try to explain this, something about,
Okay, as I said, if you're going to say anything, it has to be at the mic because we're being recorded.
okay. Let me sneak up here. I just want to speak for a second, that's all. The distance on cutting is just the length of the pole one way, length of the pole the other way. If you come into a river and there's a slot, you don't cut, you just cut forward, that's all. That was your cut hole. And fishermen never abuse that. Any longer distance than what the pole is abusive cutting. And that's that. And what you would call abusive cutting or something like that, I don't know.
Okay.
Now, the other thing about cutting, right, I got to bring up the hunting thing, right?
No, not tonight. Stay to the fishing derby.
Okay, well, the hunting thing is cutting too.
Okay, another night.
Okay,
It's not on the agenda, so they can't tonight.
okay.
I don't understand. So if there's only one thing, I don't know.
Okay. Any questions from the board or comments?
Well, I also want to make it clear that it wasn't Concom that canceled the fishing derby last year. That was the Recreation Department. We gave the okay to have the fishing derby, but they chose not to carry forward with it because they couldn't clear cut. And clear cutting isn't allowed anywhere.
Any other
Can you
questions?
repeat that? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. I didn't hear your statement, sir.
The Conservation Commission did not cancel the fishing derby. Recreation chose to cancel it after we gave the approval for them to have the fishing derby without clear cutting the shoreline.
You didn't say anything after that, I'm sorry. I'm hard of hearing you when you're.
That's all right.
I do apologize.
So if we come to an understanding, we are going to have the fishing derby this year? Or are we not going to have it?
It's not
It's
an
my
issue.
hope that you have it, yes. It's just, we cannot violate our own laws about clear cutting down to the water. We've tried to trim all the briar bush out,
We're not clear cutting.
and
It's negative.
we need to protect the water to keep the runoff.
So if I could I won't get back and forth of who canceled it, but
Okay.
I don't think we have, or the town, has ever clear cut. I don't think there was any proposal to clear cut.
Well,
Clear cut is-
that's exactly what was asked last year.
Someone said to clear cut
Yes.
that entire,
Specifically that, yes.
Yeah.
and I think either somebody misspoke, but I've never seen it clear cut in the
Okay.
past, and it doesn't serve anybody's purpose to clear cut it. And if you ask
Exactly.
the tree and rec, that's a huge undertaking to clear cut 10 acres. It's just
Oh, yeah.
not, it's not,
All we ask
not was
is
asking, yeah.
to continue to do what we've done, which is to clear the fishing spots because they grow in every year. So that's what we want to do. We need to make room along the shore for all the kids to be able to stand and fish without standing in briars and traipsing
Well,
all
all
over
right,
stuff.
we're
So,
more than willing to get the briars out of there. I think we got, to the best of our ability, we got most of the briars out of that whole area. And we'll do the same thing again this year.
but that's not going to allow us enough area for the fishing derby to take place.
There's enough area. You just have to limit the fishing derby. Nothing can be unlimited. In fact, lane property cannot be used on an unlimited basis. There is a limit to the extent of the number of people that will allow in the lane property.
It's 88 acres with hundreds of feet of frontage. We're talking 400 people.
There's still a limit based
Yeah.
on what you're trying to do.
Yeah, we run events all the time. This is a free community event. For us to try to limit it, we would have to limit it to maybe 50 kids, the way it is up there now. This is what we went through last year. It's not something that we can do. This is a free community event where people show up that day. They can show up in
You
their
can limit
canoes,
the
they
event.
can show up in
You
cars.
can limit the event.
We can't limit a free community event on Neponset.
Well, then you can't control the event, then, if you can't limit it.
We control it
It
every year.
doesn't make any logic not to be able to limit an event.
We don't limit any of our events that are
Well,
out like that. We've never had a problem until last year. So we just need to know if we can run it the way we've been running it or not. And if so, I would like to understand why, because I can't find any policy that applies to this.
Well, we didn't know until last year that you were cutting prior to each derby.
That
That's
is simply
not
not true.
correct.
It is
That
true.
With all due respect.
It is true.
The conservation agent was out there almost every year. You guys have been
She
out there
did,
every year.
she did not realize that you had the highway department cutting it.
It's been going on for
She
18
stated that
years.
very, it may have been, but I'm telling you, we didn't realize it. We were not told, we were not asked that you could cut it.
We have a conservation liaison on our board for exactly this purpose, and we have had one every year for the decades that I've been on the board. And we discuss this every year at all of our meetings with our conservation liaison there.
Who was the conservation agent at that time?
It was Al Curtis when we started. It went to Mike
Who was it
Kelleher.
last year?
After Val, it was Jeff Ames, and then we got Rebecca. Oh, no, was there one before you?
Was Jeff
No,
able?
Jeff, and then you.
Jeff.
Yes.
I believe Jeff wasn't able to make most of your meetings.
Correct, but we still sent him the minutes every single meeting.
And at the end of the day,
It's-
nothing has changed at all. Jane's been there, the agent's been there, they set up shop, we've,
It's not true that we were aware, this commission was aware that you going in there every year cutting.
I just find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
Well-
How much,
But I'm hearing it.
okay, what I would like to know is how much cutting are you anticipating? I mean, you can't just go and cut the whole shoreline.
No, but you.
Mr. Chairman, nobody's done that in the past, and nobody's
Okay.
proposing that.
Bob, you've been there. It's the same as we do every year. I mean, you were at the you've been at the Derby. Judy was at the Derby. Doug was at the Derby. Jane was at the Derby. Bill used to come to the Derby. Al was at the Derby. It's the same thing. It's most of the brush that fills in around the point, around the Boy Scout Bridge,
Yeah.
and around the sides of the dam. And in fact, Kim from NRRC used to come and ask us, while Tree and Park were out there, could they do all this stuff on the dam for them? And we always requested it. There's no policy that I can find, and trust me, I looked, that says we are not allowed to do that. It specifically says that you are exempt from this policy because your job is to maintain and to enhance the land, and that's all we're trying to do.
I mean, our job is also to make sure that we're compliant with the Wetland Protection Act and our Foxborough bylaw, which says there's no activity in the 25.
But it says that you are exempt from
Yeah,
that.
We are, but,
Yeah,
you know, that's, I know, I understand the deed of the Lane property is for recreation, but as was mentioned by Mr. Rogers before, like the abusive cutting, we have seen an increase in that in the past couple of years, so.
But that might be because
So
it
the
hasn't been
town-
properly maintained, so people go out on their own and do it.
I'm not speaking specifically to Neponset, just in general.
Yes.
A fisherman going in places where they're not supposed to, and clearing areas where they're not supposed to. And I'm concerned about the precedent that it sets when the town says, we can go in and clear this area, and then people think
Yeah,
that's
no,
okay.
I absolutely agree with
So I'm not saying,
you.
like, we can't work this out,
Yep.
but this is where the concern comes from. We need to protect our wetlands, and we need to make sure that the public understands why those limitations are in place, and we can't be, regardless of what it says on it, we can't be exempt, like, just because we're the town, we can't say, nobody else can do it, you can't do it on your own
Yeah,
land, but we can do it because we want it to be fun for the kids.
I fully agree with everything that you just said. That's the reason that we're here. A
Right.
couple of years ago, so you have the state bylaw that says anything within 100 feet is your jurisdiction. You have the local bylaw that says no disturbance within 25 feet.
Edwards Road.
Edwards Road boat ramp. You can't get to the water without bringing a boat to the water, but you did a ramp
Yeah.
because someone asked for permission. Maybe you guys did it yourself. You got permission to do the 25-foot no disturbance. A few years ago, you guys permitted, the rec department permitted the Lane property. You put a deck right on the bank, a 40, 50-foot deck right on the thing. That's within 25 feet. We replanted, we put benches there, we put a flagpole there. That's not allowed without permission. What we're doing tonight is we're asking you, through the formal process of a request for determination of applicability, we filled out the state forms, we filled out the local forms, we gave you all the documentation for permission to continue what not only the commission, the recreation department's been doing, but your own commission has been doing as of late of last year. You went out and cleared within 25 feet of the no disturbance on your own without permits. We're asking for a permit. It addresses the precedents. If a neighbor wants to do it, you say, come in front of the commission, like the town did for the Lane property, like the town did for the boat ramp, like the town did to put the benches. You just read the meeting minutes. Are those benches within 25 feet that you approved?
Probably not.
But
Not
they're
the
already on
latest one.
disturbed land.
And this is completely disturbed. The dam is disturbed. Well, we can go back and forth, but I guess to your point, we are recognizing the 25-foot no disturb policy. We submitted an application for a review of what we're proposing, and we're asking for consideration specifically for that.
One thing that I think is important, that although it's old, we keep coming back to, we looked up the newspaper articles and the town meeting notes. When we purchased it in 1988 for $1.5 million, the intent was, we didn't want it to go to a developer. We wanted to have it protected for the citizens to have access to Neponset. And that's why the deed specifically says we can put in 3 boat docks, a boathouse, a pavilion, an exercise trail, all of these things. Now, we haven't had the funding. We don't have CPA in town. We haven't had the funds as a community to build those things. But if we had them, we would be here saying, we want to put in 3 boat docks, and we want to have a boathouse, and all of those things would require ongoing maintenance. A fishing derby, to me, is much less intrusive at this point. I mean, it's all we have the money to do, so that's all we do. But, I mean, if we get the CPA in the future, I can see us being back here saying, in accordance with this deed, we now want to build a boathouse and boat docks and everything else.
Sure.
So we're not, this isn't something where this is just conservation land that was donated to the town to be preserved. This was specifically purchased for this intent.
I guess my trouble is when you want to clear the shoreline, you're basically cutting everything down. And that's,
Correct.
And that's, I don't think to hold a fishing derby, it doesn't have to be perfect ground there.
No. But-
With all respect, it hasn't been. We haven't clear cut, we haven't gone it to the ground. If you go, it grows back every year, it gets cut down, it grows back, but it's never at the, they go through and they cut it just so when the little kids swing their poles, it's not stuck up in the briars. That's nothing more, nothing less.
Well, the briars are usually out of there, but we've gotten those out. But yeah, but that's part of fishing too, is getting them caught in the branches.
So Heather and Jim, I appreciate you guys coming. I appreciate everybody in the audience coming. My kid was a scout. I've been in the fishing derby. I've been around. I fish in the pond myself, and I boat on it. I just do want to take exception to one thing, Heather, and to back up what Rich has said. It is a town event, and if there's no regulation on how many people are coming, how do we know what an unsafe number is? What is the safe number of people that can attend an event like this?
We typically have about 400.
I'm
You
asking
could
how many.
have-
How many is a safe number? Though, what is the limit?
If we ever started to get there, we'd figure it out.
What is it?
We just had, I would say you could easily have 600-700 people there, easily. It's 88 acres and hundreds of feet of frontage.
Based on, and I'm being a jerk about this only because safety is important.
Of course.
I've tried to keep an eye on little kids during the scouts doing that, and you got to give them enough room and whatnot. To have the idea that it can't be regulated, I think is just not a fair. It's not a fair presumption to put across. There needs to be some sort of formula, some sort of safe guideline to understand. And you could have a first 300 people, or first whatever the number is. I don't know what the number is. It could be regulated. So to say you can't because you don't want to is one thing, but it could be regulated and it could be limited as to how many people could have. I just want to be clear on that piece.
Well, you
to back
could
up what
limit
Rich is
anything,
saying.
but you really can't, because we can't stop someone. We're not going to put police there, and if someone pulls up, say, we're sorry, you have to leave. I mean, people come in canoes, they come in boats. How would we ever police who walks onto that
No,
property?
to people who are going to participate in the fishing derby. Like when you go up to
Right.
the fishing derby, you sign up and the kids check in and they're going to weigh
Yes.
their. So all I'm saying, for the
Yes.
event of the derby, right, on a
Yes.
given day, you don't know how many people are going to be on the Neponset. I get
Correct.
that. But to Rich's point, I mean, and to be fair, if this is a town-run event, the town can impose, the recreation department can impose specifications and regulations. So you just can't say that you can't do it. You can do it.
But there isn't really a reason to do that, because we have plenty
Sure
of
there is.
space.
Sure there is. No reason plenty of space. Not for parking cars. Where are all the cars going to park? You got,
They park in Lawton's Field. We've never had a problem with parking,
you can,
ever,
you can fit 200 cars on that field?
easily. We do it every year.
Yeah, they
Never
mow it
had a
right
problem.
before the Derby around,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
it still has to be limited. It's ridiculous that you take.
I mean,
that
it would be a
position.
good problem to have, to reach that limit. We don't. We usually end up with roughly 400 people.
And how far down do they spread out beyond the dam? Are they all on the point, the 2 points?
For the most part, they go like a little bit, if you're on the dam facing Neponset, they go a little bit down this way, they go on the dam, and then pretty much it's just all around the point. They don't go any of that area to the right. We don't cut anything over there. We just clear the point and the dam, that's it. We don't go,
Both points or just the one?
when you
Or does
say,
it go over the little bridge, the Boy Scout bridge?
Yep.
That's one point.
Yep.
But then there's,
no, we don't even go that way, not at all. It's just the one point over the Boy Scout bridge that we clear, that's it. We don't even go to the right. You mean if you don't go over the bridge and if you keep going to the right?
no, but there's a second point that goes,
That's the one she's talking about.
Yeah, we don't go there at all. Nope.
okay,
Nope. They walk over the dam, they take the left over the Boy Scout bridge,
Yeah.
that's it.
okay.
We don't do anything further past that, never have.
Do you have an idea of, like, how much, like, square footage or frontage that you actually end up clearing?
Yeah, so however long the dam is, they go down and they weed whack that whole dam.
Yeah.
And then you know how there's that little open area next to it?
Yeah.
And then you go,
I meant just sort of like numbers.
Like,
Sorry, I'm a
maybe-
numbers person.
well, what is that first point? 300 feet? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I think maybe if you want to,
Come up in for the mic.
if you want to make it clear to us, is that someone needs to go down and identify specifically.
We did, so that's what we did last
specifically-
year.
Specifically where you want cleared. Where you identified last year, you just took a whole swath.
Right, well, we put up, what we did last year was we went to each of the fishing spots and we taped it in yellow caution tape. From here to here is where we would clear, and we took pictures in case it got blown down. So that's all we're talking about, is just the part from when you go over the dam, just around that first point.
And
That's
cutting
it.
everything out of there.
Pretty much everything out of there where there are fishing spots, not where nothing has been cleared before. No, we just went down where there are already existing paths to the water, just to clear them so that the kids can fish
Well,
there.
if my memory serves me right, those were real wide swaths of the land along the shore. And I think if you want to do this again this year, that's what I would suggest you do, is to identify it again. Commission can go down and look at it, and then we can make a decision.
It would be exactly, I mean, I can send you last year's pictures. You
No,
walked it with us.
no.
It's exactly the same thing.
So your map, Heather, that you provided here shows more than what you wanted to actually do. It's like 4 times
Yeah,
more.
what that map shows is where the kids have typically gone in the past. If there's a path there that they can get to, they fish, and it hasn't been cleared. I was trying to identify
Right.
the area on an 80-acre parcel.
But we don't clear, see where it says 32? We don't clear that. Some people might fish there. We don't clear that. We just clear the point.
Okay, that's the other
Yeah.
point. Yes, okay, all right.
In the area along the dam, and I recall from years ago, it is a dam. It should not have woody growth on it,
Yes.
should not have trees, it should not.
Dam is not a problem to clear.
What I'm saying was, she's saying they
got
weed
cleared
whack
as it is.
that.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's overgrown now, so that's some of the area that they weed whack. But my point is that,
That's not an issue at all.
so that's an area identified on the map as well.
Okay. Just for the record, your name, please?
Sure. Joe Sanders, and I just recommend you request for 600 and call it a day. 400 was the limit before.
Oh.
Ask for 600 now.
okay.
Figure out a way to track it and then move on.
Okay. 600.
On public property.
That's a good number.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Any other comments from the audience?
Did we get a permit?
We'll discuss it.
On into the discussion?
Do a site visit and then,
Yeah, I want them to mark the areas.
okay.
I want it clearly marked as to what they want to cut. And I'm going to assume in those areas that you're going to clear cut that whole area.
I don't believe we can continue a determination discussion. There's a deadline that you have to do this within so many days.
Okay.
And especially because the next meeting is not until the end of January, January 29th. We cannot go that long.
Okay.
I can tell you that I know you walked it with me last year and we submitted pictures. It would be the same exact areas we requested and taped off last year. We wouldn't do any more than that.
Okay, and that was, part of those areas were part of the problem. I would suggest that we will take the bull briars out and we will be able to clear cut, not clear cut, but clear some of those areas. But I don't think, from my recollection of the areas, it was just too much clearing of the natural habitat that, just to cut it all down is, I have a big problem with that. I mean, I realize we're exempt, but we still have to set a standard. And we,
I absolutely understand, and I'm not arguing with you. The reason why we're here is because we too have to set a standard. And if we cannot hold a safe, successful event because we are unable to clear enough fishing spots, we aren't going to hold the event, which is fine. But, you know, Rich keeps saying, well, you can still have it in shifts, have it in this, have it in that. If we, that would, you've been to our Light Up Town and our Halloween parade, and if we can't, and Renee is amazing at her job, and if she can't run a fantastic, successful event, we're not gonna do it. And if we can only have so many kids and they have to come at certain times, and we have to try to make sure that people don't show up in their canoes that we don't know about, the PR, we would get slammed on Facebook. And I know it shouldn't be that way, but it would be. And it would be, I showed up at the Derby, I wasn't allowed to fish. I showed up with my 6-year-old, we were turned away. I got cut on the briars. If we can't do it right, we can't do it. That is why we are here asking you to allow us to do what we have been doing since 2008. If the answer is no, the answer is no. But we can't do it halfway.
You can. You can adapt the fishing derby to the size of the area that you have.
But
And that to
But
take-
there's no
to take- to-
adapting.
Excuse me. To take the stance that you're taking is an all or nothing.
Make a decision in 21
And you're
days.
just putting us,
I think
the
it's
board, in a
21 days.
position where we're the bad guys, when it's really your decision not to hold the fishing
It
derby.
is not our decision. That would be like
You can hold it in a modified fashion.
That
And
isn't, this isn't, like this, we either have to make a negative or a positive determination. This isn't permission or not permission. This is,
Right.
they can do it or they have to file a notice of intent through this piece of paper. I mean, that's what they applied for, so that's what you guys should be discussing, a negative or a positive, not can you, can't you. So,
I think we should recommend a positive determination, and that a future notice of intent would be specifically addressing the areas shown on a piece of paper and going out there that would be selectively cut. And that, then we make that decision that this activity is a maintenance activity within the 25-foot no disturb zone, but it's specifically shown with the notice that they are complying with the bylaw and the wetlands law about what type of activity would be allowed to pursue a recreational use.
So you're making a motion?
Because if we made a negative determination, then in theory, they can kind of do it the way they want to do it
Yeah.
without any required, like,
Well, with a negative
Oversight.
determination, you still would want someone to be notified. The office has to be notified, like.
Well, the
John
way
recommended.
John wrote, he said, you could put in a determination that the commission be notified 48 hours prior to engaging in any land maintenance activities.
In all honesty, we're not, with a negative a negative vote on a request for determination, it does not give us the ability to say, we can just do whatever we want. We gave you protocol in here, so it's, again, it's no heavy equipment, hand done, no uprooting, survey before, during, and after. So that's what we're proposing. It's not just do anything.
Jerry, I appreciate that, but, and Heather, what we don't want to do is repeat exactly what happened last year. Like, we say, all right, 48 hours are going to go out, and then you guys say, oh, we want to cut this, and then the conservation agent, we say, like, that's a high bush blueberry, don't touch that, and then we get into a discussion about what should be and shouldn't be cut. I mean, I agree, I would love to see the fishing derby continue, but I think we've got to find a middle ground here in terms of, like, what is allowed and, like, make sure we're on the same page moving forward.
But I think we tried to cover that last year by giving pictures and showing exactly where we wanted to cut. So we crossed that bridge already, and it wasn't working, so we came formally to here. If you want to put a condition on it, I don't know what else to do. Like I said, we file the professional paperwork. It addresses precedents, it addresses your bylaw, it addresses back 25 years up till now. We're not doing anything different than we've done for the last 18 years with the cooperation, and I know you said you weren't aware of it, but the Conservation Commission, the volunteers, the agents, the past agents, 50 volunteers. If you're not aware of it, I don't know what else to say. It's been the same thing.
No one was
over and
there
over.
when they clear cut it. That's what we weren't
Nobody
aware of.
clear cut it, sir. Nobody clear cut it. I can't say it more
Well,
clear. We're not asking to clear cut.
That is
It
how
hasn't-
it's been described to us since last year.
Jane was there since maybe she doesn't realize it, but nobody went out. The Tree and Park, who works for the town, the Game and Fish and Game, nobody's ever clear cut it. No one has ever complained that it's been clear cut. And viewing it, there's no clear cut issues out there now. There's no areas that's been clear cut. So it's going in this direction that we want to clear cut, and I want to say for the record.
That's been the hold-up word, the clear cutting. Somewhere that was.
It may be, but it's not from this table, and it's not from anything we submitted, and it's not from any pictures we've submitted or any experience that the kids, the families, the volunteers, or the commission has seen firsthand. So that's a little upsetting that you think we're clear cutting. The Department of Recreation
It's your
and
words.
Commission.
It's the Recreation Department's word. We're not putting words in someone's
We have
mouth.
never said we were going to clear cut anything. Never.
Seriously?
Never. We have always said the same thing. We want to clear the fishing spots so the kids can fish.
Heather, that is not true.
When did anybody ever say we wanted to clear cut the Lane property?
Well, not the
You need a
entire.
picture of that. You got a picture of it?
Nobody would ever say
You don't
that.
have a
There's no need,
picture of it?
There's no
you
need
can't
for that.
We
put
don't need to clear cut it. We don't want to clear cut it.
We have done the same thing for decades. Last year, I got a little email from Jane that said, just don't cut anything this year. And I said, we have to clear the fishing spots. We can't fish if we can't clear the fishing spots. No one ever suggested clear cutting, nor do we want to. All we want to do is clear the same fishing spots we've been cutting for 18 years now. That's all we want to do.
Still say make a positive determination.
Well, make the motion.
If he's so sure that
Mr.
somebody said
Mr.
that,
Chairman.
is there a recording? Isn't this recording?
I would recommend that the commission make a positive determination relative to this activity, proposed activity, maintenance work by the Recreation Department in coordination with the other town departments. By doing that, it's saying that, yes, this activity is within the 25-foot no disturb zone. And by doing that, we would come up with an actual maintenance, annual maintenance that will be approved by both boards as to how that area, fishing area, is going to be maintained through a notice of intent that will have valid information, the pictures or whatever, and also going out there. And if there are certain native plants we don't want to have pruned, then we would make that decision on the spot with you. But that's my recommendation.
Are you making that into a motion?
Yeah, make that into a motion.
Do I hear a second of that?
I second the motion.
Discussion? Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So, wait, how many is, can you do yays and nays?
Oh. You gotta do yeas and nays?
Well, if we're going to have a split vote, yes, I'd like to have an accurate count.
Okay. Again, all in favor of the motion for a positive determination?
Yay.
Aye.
Are those for a negative determination?
Oh, no, positive, sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's what I was wondering why that, okay.
You've got,
So for the record, what that vote means is we cannot have the fishing derby. We cannot propose what we're doing tonight. We have to go back and formally submit a full notice of intent for approval with this commission again.
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason is.
No, I heard the reason. I just wanted to be clear, because
It'll formalize
sometimes when you say negative,
Right.
it's a
Yes,
different conversation.
Our
So
intent is-
positive means we can't do what we
Our
wanted
intent
to
is
do.
to formalize an annual maintenance cooperative program and what is to be done within the 25-foot no disturb zone, and also the areas that you want to, have open to the fishing, which is smaller than the area that's shown on the photo included. It's to the benefit of having something actually on record.
But it is for this actual event. So to
Yes.
take Colonel Sanders' suggestion, we will file a notice of intent
Right.
that we want you to tell us whether or not we can hold our fishing derby, that we will cap at 600 kids somehow on this date. That's how we file it, right? And then you say yes or no.
I don't think it's for
You don't have to
holding the
talk about
fishing derby. I think it's to come up with an annual maintenance program within the 25-foot no disturb zone that is approved by us and you.
But I think it's wonderful that it would be maintained year-round, but for us, we need it to be maintained so that we can have our fishing derby.
So it would be like the
Understand
maintenance
time-
program in
timing is
advance of
everything.
the fishing
Right,
derby.
okay.
Of the yearly fishing derby
Okay.
or something like that, not for the fishing derby on June 6th or whatever.
Okay.
So the yearly maintenance program in advance of the fishing derby to be completed by.
Okay.
so it wouldn't be up to these people, it'd be up to the board.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be up to us to do it. We don't,
Hopefully it'd be more collaborative.
Yeah.
I got really started doing this.
Does anyone in the audience have any follow-up comments, questions?
Yeah, about the rest of the stuff on that letter, I'll get back to you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
When do you want to, next
Next meeting's not till the end of January because of all the Monday
January
holidays.
it is then, right?
Okay,
It's not till the end of January because we got Christmas, New
Yeah,
Year's,
yeah,
you
that's
know.
fine. You know,
January 29th,
okay, there's no rush on it.
yeah.
Okay,
okay.
All right, so Rich,
we're out of here. Have a good night, folks.
I'm
Thank
going
you.
back to the vote. So were we all unanimous with
Yes.
voting? Okay.
Yeah, sorry about
All right, your next one,
Ready?
Tanya, yeah.
So this form has both positive and negative, so you can sign it, and then I'll just fill it out for the positive part.
Okay.
that. That's what they're hopping on.
All right. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetland Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public hearing on Monday, December 11th, 2023, at 7:10, well, later than that, in the Galen Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom, on a notice of intent filed by Jardine Enterprises, LLP, for a Title V septic repair at 52 West Street, Assessors Map 152, Parcel 014, Portions of the proposed work lie within 100 feet of a resource area. The application is available for public inspection in the Conservation Office at Town Hall. This notice can also be found on the Massachusetts Newspaper Publishers Association website.
Yep.
This does have a number. No, it doesn't.
No, it
Does
doesn't.
this have a number?
No, I looked today, it doesn't have a number. Have you guys got anything from DEP?
Not on West Street. No.
Okay.
Diane, actually, that was for, those are the cards for the next project, so.
Okay. So these are the other ones.
Yeah. Where the river is. Yeah.
This whole thing is in it.
Yes, it is.
Evening, everybody. Russ
Evening.
Walden here for 52 West Street. Jimmy Neva from Dunn McKenzie with us. So the project before the commission is a Title V septic repair at 52 West Street. The new system is proposed to the right side of the existing house. It's all lawn, and it will be returned to lawn once it's completed. They designed it with a Presby system to try and keep it as small as possible. And it's in the riverfront area. It's an unnamed brook that comes in under West Street and flows down the right side of the property line. And that's it.
Now, did you get the minutes, or not minutes,
I
but
sent John stuff to him, yes.
all of the stuff from our agent?
Right, yeah, he picked up on a mistake I made in calculating the total riverfront area. When I was writing up the project description, because the lot is so narrow, I think I just assumed that the entire lot was in the riverfront. Jimmy recalculated it before we came over here, and it bumps the total impact up by 1/100th of 1%. So it's 0.14 rather than 0.13 for a percent impact.
And you still don't have a number from DEP?
Yeah, so we can't.
My guess is the check is held up. That's been a real ongoing issue.
Okay.
So we can't close the hearing.
Yeah,
Right.
I realize that, yep. I was out there, and again, I agree, it's all in a previously disturbed area, and also a replacement, so it's an upgrade over what was there. But some of John's comments, this house was built, I think, before we had any conservation rules and regulations.
Yes.
So
1960.
that's the reason why it's there probably, so. But again, we will, unless somebody has some questions or comments, continue it to our next meeting. Any?
I think, though, the comments that John made, a couple of them need to be shown on your plan or additional information submitted.
The tree line, well, the entire lot is lawn, so the tree line is off-site, off-property. It was not located in the field, to my knowledge. I mean, we can do that and add it to the plan.
Well, when I drove past there is a tree line behind the house.
There is.
And it's very close to where those tanks are going to be going in. I know the two big trees in the side lawn is the only thing out there which you have identified. I assume those two are the ones on the ash trees.
See, My name is Jim Never from Dunham McKenzie. These trees, these 4 trees that are located on our property, on our plan, are the only ones that are on our locus. The other ones are off locus.
Basically, the tree line in back is essentially the wetland line.
Okay. So you got the 2 ashes and the 2 maples. Is that,
Correct.
okay.
So you're not near the trees at all, then? The tree line, I mean.
No.
No.
Yeah, I see the lawn.
I think you should still verify that, though,
What's that?
the tree line, verification, and show it on the plan, even if it's off the plan, because John recommended that to us.
Yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Oh, it's on.
So the 29th, Diana?
Yep.
So someone want to make a motion to continue till the 29th?
I'll make a motion to continue 52 West Street, see number 157.
No,
I
no
guess
number
no
yet.
No number yet, no. Map 152, parcel 014, till the 29th.
Second.
So January 29th?
January 29th, yeah, sorry.
Okay. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Next one, Tanya.
Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetland Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public hearing on Monday, December 11th, 2023, at, what does that say, almost 8?
Well,
In the Gala
You say
Meeting Room?
7:15, because
Oh,
that's what it was advertised
7:15?
for.
I have to say 7:15. Okay,
Yeah.
in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom, on a notice of intent filed by Bradley Highland for an addition to a single-family home at 24 Water Street, Assessors Map 015, Parcel 021. Portions of the proposed work lie within 100 feet of a resource area. The application is available for public inspection in the Conservation Office at Town Hall. This notice can also be found on the Massachusetts Newspaper Publishers Association website.
Evening once again, folks. Russ Waldron for 24 Water Street. I have to correct myself here. When I was talking about the little bump up in the riverfront percent, that was for this lot, not 52 West Street.
oh,
I was one meeting ahead of myself. So anyways, this,
what about West Street? Well, we can discuss that when you come back in on the 29th.
right. Yeah, I forget what the total number is, but
Okay.
it's lawn for lawn on that one. So anyways, this project is a small addition, a sunroom off the back of the house with, I believe, a small connecting deck to an existing deck. Again, the total riverfront disturbance is 0.14% of the total area on the property, riverfront area. Total proposed disturbance, I just went with the deck, and the addition footprint is 149 square feet. They will both be supported by standard sonotube style footings and 4x4, 6x6 supporting posts. Closest distance to the bank of the river is 80.8 feet. And that's it. It's a 3-season sunroom off the back of the house with a little connecting deck.
Okay. How are you going to get the sonotubes in? Do you have to bring in any equipment or?
Probably dig them by hand. I mean, if they could bring, if they needed to bring equipment in, something with a small auger, small tractor with an auger, you can get right around the house, easy enough.
Okay. Do you have a file number for this one yet?
We do.
We do. 631. I wrote it on. That's it.
Oh, okay, you did, my goodness.
They don't really understand the holdup with the check. I mean, they went out the exact same day.
But they never sent this by email either. Usually they send me an email with the number. I had to go to the DEP
No.
website and look it up, so
Not for West Street, they didn't. For this one, they did.
I didn't get it.
Oh, really?
But last time, they're sending it to our old server, like we're foxborough.ma.gov. They're sending it to the town.foxborough.ma.us, which doesn't exist.
No.
And
Yeah,
I
they-
told them that, and so
You gotta remember who you're dealing with here.
it's all new people, I guess.
So for the record, have you corrected the total riverfront area? 'Cause
Yeah, that's what he did.
I can do that on the forms if you'd like, and send Diane an updated form and the project description, if you'd like me to do that. That's not a
Yes, that
problem.
would be. Okay. Questions from the board?
Well, there is an issue that John brought up, that the original septic system installation and the exterior deck were never approved by the Conservation Commission.
Any idea when that was put in?
I think it says 90s.
96, which is
Oh.
when the Riverfront Act came into effect too.
Okay.
And he has a question about that this is within the floodplain zone A. And we may request engineer calculation to determine the base flood elevation.
Based on the FEMA map, the new sunroom is outside it. I guess the existing deck catches a portion of the stairs to that. Call. The existing deck. I mean, to try and figure out an elevation for a Zone A, that is a monumental and extremely expensive endeavor. I mean, that involves a
Years of
full-blown
studies.
contributing watershed study. And the only one I've ever read or known about was well north of 100 grand to do it. And that was for like just not a large contributing sub-watershed, which is maybe why FEMA never does them. They just wait for somebody else to have to do them.
What are these cleanouts that you've got highlighted? What, is that the roof drains coming off of there, or what are those?
Those, I think, those are the existing septic system cleanouts.
All around the house?
Yes, because it's a pump. It comes out of the back. It comes out of the back and pumps out to, it comes out of the back, goes around the side, and goes into the leaching field that is up above towards Water Street.
Yes, I see that, but the cleanouts don't seem to be on the line that goes to the septic system. That's
That looks
a
crazy.
question.
I didn't see it. I don't know.
They pump
I
it
don't
all
have
around
the
the
plan
house.
in front of me.
Yeah, go grab it.
Come out like this, and then goes right here and hooks in there, and then goes into the tank.
Oh, it's going to the tank.
Yes.
Comes out of the front of the house, comes out and goes to the tank. And then the septic system gets pumped up to the area
the leaching
up
field.
above the leaching area.
Oh,
We did not, we located those according to the town as built. We did not design this system. We were brought in this year for
Okay.
the,
that's a strange
I have the actual, the design of the septic system if you would like.
No, that's the Board of Health. It's just,
Right. It is.
it's incomprehensible to me, the
Yeah.
way goes around the house and then comes back around the house. But that's Board of Health. I'll let them
Is
work.
there any recourse when there's work that we find work that was done that should have been?
Shouldn't they be asking us to approve that work as well?
Yeah, he kind of mentions that there is probably a way of addressing that work, because technically it's not legal.
Okay.
I think we should continue this to get answers to the items that John provided, or Diana provided, and clear up that information that needs to be put onto this plan. And also, we need to talk to him about the 2 activities that occurred in the flood zone, in the riverfront area, and how do we address that to be legal.
Revise the NOI.
Yeah, that might be the best option.
I think that's a discussion you should have with John directly.
Do you know John? Do you have his contact?
John, was he formerly in Sharon?
Sharon,
Yeah.
and then, yeah,
Yeah, I know John.
okay.
Yeah,
He only works part-time for us right now.
yeah, because Jane's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes it a little difficult for us.
But I think I would like to have that information and his take on, how we can help the homeowner and the property and on record.
And these were done in 96, the septic system in the deck?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm understanding? Do we know when in 96?
Do you have any information on it at all, Diana?
I don't know. He sent that to me, so I don't know, because I looked and we didn't have any filings for either one of these
This was
properties.
the property.
So,
We'll probably contact the Board of Health and their records might be archived, and the building department probably would have that information.
The,
So the perk test for the original system was 8/21/96.
That's after the Riverfront Act went into effect.
Yeah. All right. We can do that.
Okay, good. Any questions or comments from the audience? Oh, there's a beautiful black lab in that household.
There is.
I make a motion that we continue this public hearing for
January
157-631
at 24 Water Street
till
to the next
January 29th, 2024.
January 29th.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Hey, Tanya, you're up again.
Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetland Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, December 11th, 2023, at 7:20 in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom, on a request for determination of applicability filed by William and Denise McMullen for the replacement of a wooden deck with an enclosed livable space at 65 Ridge Road, Assessors Map 034,
When she
parcel
finishes.
025, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. The application is available for public inspection in the Conservation Office at Town Hall. This notice can also be found on the Massachusetts Newspaper Publishers Association website.
Good evening.
Good evening. Bill McMullen, 65 Ridge Road. William.
Denise McMullen, same address.
So, you want to just verbalize what you want to do here?
There's an existing 12 by 16 deck at the rear of our home, and we would like to make it an enclosed livable area.
And how much disturbance are you going to be, any,
I believe the only disturbance that there might be, and it's been suggested to us to put helical footings to replace the existing sonotube type footings.
okay,
That would be the only disturbance.
What's a helic?
They're the drilled-in ones, those ones that they
Oh,
just twist in?
twist in.
they twist into
Oh, dig in, just,
a base, yes.
Okay. And you're not going to expand it, just,
That is the existing
Yes.
size, yes, right, exactly as is the stairs that would leave that portion would be right in the same spot, and the dimensions are exactly the same as the existing porch in the package.
okay.
What's the current distance from the wetlands?
So edge of water, almost the back half of our house is 25 feet. It goes right into our house. It's probably 10 feet to the edge of the reservoir from the back of the porch.
So would we want them to use like a erosion control of some kind during the, or?
Yeah, put some
The
erosion control.
Erosion control, okay.
Before you start doing any digging, just to make sure if you get up any soils, they don't
It does not wash
go
into
into the
yes.
reservoir.
Perfect.
Anything else, any other?
is it lawn right up to the water?
Yes.
Yes.
The wall.
So it's all disturbed.
So which direction would you be coming in from? Since we don't have a map of what this looks like in relation to.
So if you know where Bear Island is, we're directly across from Bear Island. There used to be an old A-frame
Okay,
just on Ridge Road, just prior the Lawton's A-frame. We're in the driveway just after where the A-frame was that splits. 65, 67
Okay.
Ridge Road.
yeah, okay. All right. Know exactly where it is.
So is the deck close to the reservoir? I'm just trying to get an idea which way you're coming in.
It's the same distance as the back of the house,
Okay,
and then it went to the right
okay.
from the back of the house. That's
So
it.
how we would approach coming down to the house, it's to the right of the house?
How you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What kind of equipment are you going to get in there, I guess is what the question is. What,
So I only went on the website for the helic posts. It's a walk behind, kind of just has an arm that drills it in.
okay. So no heavy equipment?
No.
right?
No heavy equipment, yes.
Yeah, I think that was the concern, but don't
Okay.
want heavy equipment in there.
Yeah, to
Okay.
interrupt the land.
Yeah.
I believe that would be the only piece of equipment they would have to use. Everything else will have to get hand carried down the side of the house anyway, so.
Okay.
How far is the back of the house from the water?
About 10
Looks like
feet.
it's quite a distance, huh?
About 10 feet.
10 feet,
The back of the house to the water is 10 feet?
that's correct.
Okay.
So this existing deck is almost on it.
Yeah.
It's the
Yes.
same distance as the house from the water.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
it's
'cause
a,
it's turned?
No, because it's, yeah.
It's not turned, it's exactly the same, well.
well, it
it's-
does bump
yeah,
out like
a little
4
bit.
feet past the back of the house.
true,
That,
too.
yeah, I think it's in the,
There's a picture of it, I think.
I put the GIS plan that, the last page is that small room on the back of the house is part of the house, and then the deck is to the
To the right?
right of that,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. Yep. When was the house built, any idea?
Oh, well before, I believe the original builder or the owner was Holt from Holt's Department Store in Walpole Center, so it was old, the original
It's been
home.
there a while.
A long time.
Yeah.
Does your roof runoff just go straight onto the lawn, or do you have it going into the ground, infiltrating?
Currently, the gutter on the, that runs right above the top edge of the deck goes just onto the grass.
Okay. So it's diffused. Yeah.
Right. Well, we try, you don't have to get the water off of your roofs. It's a residential house, but we try to encourage it, if you can, get it to infiltrate directly into the ground.
Okay.
It's better for the overall stormwater quality.
We can arrange that, sure.
Oh, that was
Any other questions, comments?
How is the existing deck that you're demolishing, how is that being handled?
By hand. Yes. There's no, you really can't get any kind of equipment in there, so, and it's,
So the storage and staging, everything, is that going to be like up toward the front of the house or in the driveway? So-
Yes.
All right.
And it's just that one floor. You're not doing anything underneath
No,
it, right?
just
It's
one
the
floor.
boards, yeah.
we may just put a faux wall, but it's
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
underneath, yes, yeah.
You don't have a cement ground underneath it.
There is an existing cement pad underneath the deck.
It's already
Yeah,
there.
it's
Yep,
been
it's
there
already there.
since 95, yeah.
Any other questions, comments?
Your turn, Pete.
So we're positive or negative determination, right?
Negative?
Yeah. I would make, I have no problem with granting a negative determination for 65 Ridge Road, MA 034, parcel 025.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? The negative is good
There you go.
for you.
One quick question. So if we put that, the silt barrier down,
Yeah.
contact someone to come down and inspect it first?
Yeah, just call the office and
Okay.
somebody will come down.
Once it's installed, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You intend to start this now?
I'm sorry?
You intend to start this right now or the spring?
Shortly.
Yeah, well, it's going to be when the plan will, I'll call him when we leave here, and then it will be how, would you like us to let you know when we start it? Okay.
Notify the office of that.
I will do that.
Yeah. You know, because John is part-time, so to fit it in his schedule, you
Yes,
know, to come out and take a look at it.
very well. We can do that.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Being 7:25, we have a continued hearing for 30 Taylor Road. Mr. Buckley.
Chairman. Give me a moment here.
No, you have to read that. No. But John always recommended special conditions.
So good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bill Buckley from Bay Colony Group, and I'm here representing the applicant, Ellie Kennard. Mr. Kennard is also here this evening. And this is a continuation of a public hearing that we had back at the end of October, I think, was the date. And at that time, we made a presentation to the commission, and we received input from the commissioners and from John Thomas, the interim conservation agent. And on November 7th, we filed a modified plan with the commission, and which we think addressed the issues that were brought up this evening. So if you have it in front of you, that would be great. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is just briefly go through it and maybe show them to you here on the plan. So one of the questions we wanted to, I think it was John brought it up, wanted to make sure that we showed the limit of the FEMA zone. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see it better. So the zone AE, which is the floodplain, and that the FEMA flood elevation here in this particular area, as you can see, I wrote it down the corner here, is elevation 161.4. And just as a reminder, what that is the 1% chance in any given year that the water will go up to that level. And that puts you into a FEMA flood hazard area. So a portion of this property is within that. It's approximately 2,084 square feet is being altered that by the project. And that's the portion of the lot on the west side. And you can see it goes to the house as well. On sheet 2, if you go to it, over here on the right, we had some discussion on the dewatering. So that would be, if you look here on that, I think it's the third paragraph down here on the right side of the building, right side of the plan, where the erosion control and stabilization schedule, if you go down to the clearing and initial excavation, talks about the general contractor shall, go down to note 5. We talked about dewatering and how we would do dewatering, and what we settled on was we would use a dewatering bag, which if you go on to the next sheet, at the bottom of it, it has a dewatering bag. So if that becomes necessary in order to put the footings in for the foundation, which again, it's going to depend on what the water level is and when time of year it's done, we'll be using a dewatering bag. And just to refresh what we talked about, the water gets pumped into that bag, and then it's a mesh, and it holds on to any solids, and then it just filters out. And then, so we talked about, it has to use a dewatering bag, and then the location of the bag will be coordinated with me in order to make sure that it's, put in the correct location.
And where would you put that?
I think it was gonna depend on where it is at the time. We wanna put it on grass in order to make sure that you get that additional level of filtration. So I'm just kind of flipping around here. You can see how big the lot is. So anywhere we put it, it's going into Miramichi. It's just the way it is. But so I would say ideally maybe back in this corner here, maybe in the back, because we have that nice thick layer of landscaping, if you remember looking in the back there. So that's going to act as a natural screen or buffer or filtration anyways. The next one we talked about was the fact that we are working with the 25-foot no disturb zone. And so I think it was, again, John and maybe one of the commissioners asked me to make sure we look at that, to talk about how the board or how the commission can allow that to happen. And what I did is I cited the regulation which says that, the paragraph empowers the commission to allow construction within the setback if it determines there are no reasonable conditions or alternatives that would allow the project to proceed in compliance with the bylaws, and that mitigating measures are proposed that will allow the project to be conditioned by the commission so as to contribute to the protection of the interests identified in the Wetlands Protection Act and the regs. And then we talked about, we talked at the last meeting with the things that we're doing here. I think that we've done a very detailed plan giving to the contractor, what he has to do, the sequence for erosion, dust control, cleaning up the site, stabilization of the site, all of the items I think that we discussed. We're reducing the amount of impervious area on the front. If everyone recalls, I'll show you here. the front of the house now, this is all basically paved right up to it. We're going to be taking out in the front here and putting in landscaping there. Over here on the north side, the right side, as you look at the house from the street, that's a paved area now. We're going to take the pavement out and put permeable pavers in there. So I think we've done a lot and everything that's reasonable in order to mitigate the activity that's going to be taking place in the 25-foot no disturb, which of course is already disturbed because the house is there and the building is there. The other thing we did, and if you remember the sidewalk, when we were walking down Taylor Road, there's this like sandbar area, and it was washing in. You can see the road is already, eroding. So with this, we'll put up a vertical concrete curb in that area there in order to hold the road up and stop the
And
erosion.
then where would the water run from there?
It will continue to run over the top of the curbing, but it won't erode the road. So we'll set the curbing at the road grade and fill in behind it to stop the erosion of the road, but the water's still going to go over it into the sand. And I think that's about it. Those were the issues that we addressed and modified. And just so the commission knows, I sent this to John as well as Diana or Mr. Bodie, and I got a positive. He said I addressed the issues that he had at that time. I'm sure he sent you the same information.
Any questions for Mr. Buckley?
You saw this?
From John? Yeah, let me reread it. I've got it here in my...
I think he's addressed most of them.
Yeah.
I just had a couple of things on that when you get to the point to discuss it. I know this is a draft, and but some of the things here I think don't apply. And I didn't.
Sorry, have you seen this?
Yep,
Okay,
it was sent to me.
all right, good.
I just want to go over it. And I apologize. I got this last Wednesday, but I was out Thursday and Friday, so I only saw it today.
Okay.
Getting ready for the Army-Navy game. Very happy that Army won.
Did you get my message on the machine?
Was that you? Was that you?
Yeah.
You did. I thought it was Doug King
No.
making fun of the Army. Okay, no problem. The Air Force came out of the Army.
So, Bill, what's time sequence?
Springtime for this? Or?
Do you have a timeline yet?
So I need to sell my home in Boston first, and then find my mother adequate housing, who lives there now. My mother's lived there since I was in high school. I lived there with my mother. And I purchased the home in 2016 from my grandparents, Jack and Marge Othwell. And it's kind of always been the goal to, continue the legacy of our family living there. And so my mother and stepfather are going to go elsewhere. And then my wife and I are going to move to the lake in the spring. And then, for loan purposes, establish our permanent residency there and live there for a couple months, and then go to our in-laws. And then hopefully in that time, some interest rates will decide to drop a little bit and make it a little bit more affordable. But I do have a contractor, he's given me a rough price. But I would like to start it next year, whether that's in the spring or in the fall. I can't say definitively right now because I have to go by his schedule. But I'm tired of living in the city of Boston, and I'm going to sell my house regardless and move back to the town that I grew up in. So
next year.
I'd recommend that you keep the office informed, or Diana informed, because, a year from now, you could be starting and we don't know who's gonna be actually working here, but
Right,
if
yeah,
Jane comes
absolutely.
back.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll keep Bill and you guys, obviously, top of mind when it comes to all things related to it.
Yeah, one of the issues in here, like Jane puts it in there too, but John also has it in there, there will be a pre-construction meeting.
Yeah.
So it won't
Very
be,
definite.
it won't be a
That's-
surprise.
Yeah. That's a very definite must because it's too much coordination.
Right.
Good. To get, not
Yep.
good, so.
I agree.
Any questions, comments from the audience? Okay.
Do you want to address your comments on this?
Yes, if you don't mind. So what I was looking at John's special conditions, and, it looks fine. It's different from what Jane, but it looks good. But I just wanted so it's the first page, 1C. And it talks about the boundary marker locations plan. We don't plan on putting any boundary markers in. I mean, it's not like there's typically we put, you know the deal, we typically do that in the woods, 25-foot no disturb. There's a wall around the house. It's very obvious what the resource area is, so I would ask not to require something like that. That's kind of obvious. And then if we go to page 3, F26. There's a comment in there about we cannot, so this is the dewatering issue. So you can't do dewatering within 100 feet. That's physically not possible. We're on it. So I would ask just that one section of the thing be removed so that we can, if we do need to dewater, we'd have to do it on the lot. If we go to page 6. One, 2, and 3, or 2 and 3, again, no activity zone boundary markers. Again, we don't plan on putting those up. I don't think it's necessary. We have a wall there. And then the resource restoration area, we really don't have any resource restoration in here. Our site is either pavement, building, or grass with some limited landscaping, and then it's going to be pavement. It's not even full pavement, it's permeable pavement, building, grass, and then basically the same landscaping there. There are other sections in here that talk about native plantings, and that's fine. But again, I would say 2, 3, 4 through 12 don't apply on that particular page. And then that's it. Those are my comments that just had to do with maybe tuning this up to make it clearer on this particular site.
All right, what was the first one that you mentioned, Bill?
The first one is on page 1, number 1C, the boundary marker locations plan.
Okay.
And again, we don't want to put those in. And then page 3, F26.
Yep.
100-foot buffer.
All right.
Bill, it's possible that you could set up the dewatering across the street, would you have more room to let the water infiltrate? Even though it's still going to be within 100 feet.
Yeah, you could, but you're going to, it's a road, and you're going to be crossing the road.
It's going to be coming back over at you.
Right. People are going to be driving over it. So I wouldn't want to. I don't think so. I would prefer not to. Because you're going to be driving across this thing, and I'm not sure. You have to shut the pumps off every time a car goes by, or.
Either you make these little ramps for them to go by, and they're going to slow down.
Yeah.
They'll be going slow enough to begin with, David.
There's no room.
There's no room there to speed.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, because there isn't much area to de-water on that site
There's
itself.
not,
Yeah.
there's not.
How much dewatering do you think there's going to be?
Depends on the,
Just the depth of
It-
what happens when you
well, I
dig
know
the
what the depth of
foundation?
the foundation is going to be. It's going to be like, when is it being done, and what's the water level when it's being done?
I guess.
So, if it was done today, and they didn't pull the boards, it would probably be fairly high. But if they did it in like July, and if it's a hot summer, and they're drawing it down for water supply.
Get lucky.
So it's just, that's why you don't know. And I couldn't even specify the type of bag to be used, because it's just going to be dependent on, or size of the bag. It's just going to be dependent on what they find in the water table. I mean, hoping they don't want to hit any water.
All right, with those questions, I think probably continue this till the 29th, so you can clear this up with John on
Well, what I would ask is, I mean, this has been going on for a long time,
Yeah,
is
it has
if you
been.
could, I wouldn't mind I would not have an objection if you approved it with conditions, and these few items, you let me talk to John about them. And if he says no, but I would like the board to make a decision tonight, if you could, that I don't have to do signs. I mean, it's, the guy's backyard's 10 feet already. It's, to set signs up to say, don't throw things in the water, or this is a resource area. We know that. It's just kind of silly. But of the other things, I can, the boundary marker is the big thing. The 100-foot buffer zone, it's just not possible, because it's just not possible. I have to dewater in the 100-foot if there's dewatering at all. And we're not doing a resource restoration. So, I mean, that section doesn't apply.
You could just make a motion to approve it as discussed this evening.
Okay,
Subject to.
subject to John's approval.
Subject to John.
Because you're waiting, it's like 6 weeks. You're not meeting for a month and a half.
Yeah.
So I don't have any strong objections to any of them, really. He's looking to.
Because with the resource restoration, like, you're just saying, it's not really restoration, because it's just plantings where basically there's already plantings now.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it
we're not-
already says they're gonna be native
Yes.
plantings, so.
And we're just going to we're actually putting back what's there in the back.
Yeah.
And then we have some new plantings in the front, and we can just make sure those are native plants.
Which is kind of covered under the
The
last.
general section, yes.
Plus, you're not gonna dig up the stumps, you're gonna.
Grind them.
Grind them down.
Yeah, that was a note I added too. I forgot to mention that. That was a note on the stumps.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Someone want to make a motion then? Close the hearing?
I make a motion to close the hearing on 30 Taylor Road, DEP 157-630, with the condition that,
Well, no, we're just closing the hearing.
just closing the hearing, oh, okay, all
Yep.
right.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right. So now then,
So now you can, I mean, I haven't sent the rest of this to John, but I'm assuming that these are the special conditions, and the rest would be the boilerplate.
Yeah.
So you can say to, endorse the order of conditions as discussed this evening with edits to be approved by John or something like that.
all right. So I want to make that motion?
I make a motion that we endorse the order of conditions with edits to be reviewed and approved between John and Bill. And this is for 30 Tyler Road, DEP 157-630.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. By the way, thank you.
Everybody have a nice Christmas if I don't see you before that.
This is continued also.
All right. One Patriot Place. Request for partial certificate compliance. David, you were...
Yes.
Sorry to keep you so long, but
Oh, it's okay.
enjoy the evening.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
It's all right. She says special babysitter.
A special babysitter. My husband. Ready to get started, or?
Yeah. This is done for Rebecca and Rich. Yeah.
I'm just going to share my screen, if that's allowable. Whoops. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Gluck from Par Corporation, and I'm here with Beth Whirling from the Craft Group. We're just here to talk about the continued meeting for the partial certificate of compliance for the Revolution Soccer Training Facility. At the last meeting on November 20th, we were here to discuss this request along with a RTV for the additional work that had yet to be completed, shown here in yellow. We received the negative determination, and the work has since begun on that third soccer field and associated parking area, which was primarily in a disturbed area that had been cleared and graded under the order of conditions. And then the remaining item outstanding is closing out that partial certificate of compliance, which is for what's shown in blue here, the completed work at the soccer training facility that included the locker room and office building, the 2 natural grass soccer fields, parking, circulation improvements, and culvert replacements. At the last meeting, it was brought up a couple commission members hadn't been able to make it out to the site, so we did a site walk on November 30th. Mr. Opatka and Mr. Gulemi were in attendance. We walked around the site to look at the different features of the site. There were a few areas of concern identified where there had been some washout, some lack of grass cover in some landscaped areas in the parking area, as well as some drainage concerns along the shoulder of the access road. And we also looked at the riverfront restoration, which we talked a bit about last week. There are several areas of restoration in the riverfront area of an intermittent stream, actually perennial stream along here, where we're doing ongoing monitoring of the vegetation, invasive species removal, and then replanting some of the disturbed areas that will result from the invasive species removal, which will be occurring this spring. So we had another site walk this afternoon with Mr. Opatka to go over the work that's currently happening over at the western field here. He wanted to get a closer look at what was going on and brought to our attention the need that we needed to have a pre-construction meeting for that work. So we were able to get a good look at what's going on in that area, as well as the erosion controls. We also discussed that the interim agent, John Thomas, may also want to get a look at the site when he has time on his schedule, so.
Okay. So David, you were the one out there that said...
I guess so. Well, at least there's 4 members of this commission that have seen the site that has been pretty much completed. I wanted to go out there, and Rich and I went out there also to see the different activities, since we were part of going out there at least 3 or 4 times. So I would recommend that we issue a partial certificate of compliance, number 1. I would recommend, though, that I presented 5 conditions that should be attached to the certificate. However, John would want to work them in, to that document.
Okay.
And the reason why this is important, even though the existing order of conditions is still in effect, number 1 was the continued landscape and plant maintenance within the mitigation and river restoration areas. And I think Laura mentioned that has another year and a half to go.
I think it's one more season, so.
Season.
Yeah, we're in the well, we're at the end of the growing season now. But yeah, the 2023 was the 4th growing season. And then so next growing season would be the 5th. So the intent would be to do that cleanup restoration work in the spring and then do a monitoring event maybe later in the growing season to see how it all takes up and then give you guys a report maybe sometime in the late summer, fall period.
Do you have a copy of his?
No, she's got notes
No.
on her plan.
I just took some notes in the field, but if you could send me that or. I can grab it.
Just so that you're looking at the.
Yeah, I'm sure we discussed all of these out there, but
Yeah.
this is helpful. Okay.
Lucky
So,
my old age, I can remember. Also, if there's any post-construction monitoring reports, if there's anything, that be sent to the office. The
Yep.
second item was the grass restoration and maintenance of 2 parallel stormwater filtration and snow storage filtration strips in the main parking area. And Laura's kind of showing you the,
yeah, there's two of these strips. The middle one does not, but the 2 on the ends are serving as, drainage areas where water is flowing down through, and then there's a catch basin at the end that connects to the drainage system. And there was some, tire marks and some erosion in those areas.
so what's happened is that these strips are not doing what they should have done relative to stormwater filtration. And it seems like also snow storage. The grass is hardly there. It's pretty well been wiped out. They need to regrass and bring those strips back to what they're supposed to be doing and maintain them. Otherwise, everything, whatever sediment or other things from the snow, just run right down to the catch basin at the ends. And they can't do it this year. They'll have to do it in the spring. But people have also been driving over those strips.
You gotta stop them from.
Somehow or another need to find some way of maintaining the strips for what they're supposed to do. But they also have to allow storage of snow based on the planning board permit in those strips. So I think that is something that they need to come back and just try to explain what they're going to do, for the springtime.
If you could just stop the cars from going through, maybe something as simple as a picket wooden fence or something, and it's down the center of the thing or something, I don't know. I'm sure that's not what Kraft would have in mind, but something that would stop them without stopping the water.
We'll find a solution.
Yeah.
And you also got the erosion around that catch basin and the light post that's going on too. So it sounds like they might throw something temporarily in there, within a day or so. Then the continued maintenance of the roadway sedimentation controls from the Academy soccer field construction site. They have put some stone down. Laura's showing where it is, right about in there. And what it's doing is dragging a lot of the soil sediment, which is silty material, over the paved area all the way up to the hill. And right now, they have some stone down, and they also have brought in a street sweeper, it sounds like, to help control that. Otherwise, it's going to build up on that pavement and also go to the intersection in that area. Then the installation and maintenance of sediment erosion controls for the unpaved maintenance lot. Right in there. It shows it partially paved on that plan, but it isn't. It's all open, and it has that silty type material on it that's washing off to the northeast and into the weir trap of the big catchment basin that's along the road. The basin itself, the water quality itself looks good, but the weir is full of that fine sediment. And maintenance people are always using it, so they're running back and forth, and it's, just gonna be a problem if it isn't addressed somehow or another. Then erosion control solution on the northwest side of One Patriot Place roadway guardrail location adjacent to the isolated wetland, which was part of the project of the first soccer fields up there.
Yeah.
But then it became part of this project when they repaved that roadway all the way up. So part of the guardrail cementation control is still there, basically silt fence. The other half, the upper half, there's nothing protecting the isolated wetland down below. So I just suggested these conditions. I presented them to the parties to be, Woody, Beth, Laura. I think they're reasonable, and to allow the issuance of a partial certificate of compliance. Hey, Rich was there too. Missed out in the mud today.
Anything else then?
No.
You work on it?
Reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah, reasonable.
All right. So you want to formally close the partial certificate?
I have to do that.
Yeah.
Make a motion that we issue a partial certificate of compliance for 1 Patriot Place, DEP 157-579, with special conditions to be included, and I'll leave it up to John to write these in where he believes it would be the proper location
Okay.
of the certificate.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? All righty.
It's too easy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Finally, 84 Ridge Road. Good evening.
Thanks for
Sorry it was
fitting us in.
such a long wait for you.
Well, thanks for fitting us in. Yes.
Oh, I sent them out, that's right.
I'm Kevin Guarini from 49 Lakeview Road. I'm the owner of Guarini Landscape in Mansfield. And Chris,
I'm Chris Chodek. I live here in Foxborough, 84 Ridge Road.
Okay.
and Chris approached me a couple months ago, and he has a fireplace in his backyard with a patio.
Mm-hmm.
I have some pictures here, if I can. Yep. And, excuse me, and Chris wanted to know if I could repair this fireplace for him in his patio. And I told him that he'd have to cut those couple of pine trees down, because it's just gonna keep on deteriorating the patio. So, I don't know, how old is that?
I bought this house 13 years ago. I'm not sure when it was, I believe it was built about 5 years before that.
Was the fireplace there when you bought it?
Correct.
Okay,
No, this was existing property, existing construction.
all right.
And I wish I took pictures of the back, I don't know, I think a couple of you gentlemen might have been out there.
Yeah, we
You
were.
saw it, and it's deteriorating. It's a beautiful fireplace. And I really can't do anything to it the way it is right now with those pines there. I think he'd be throwing his money away. And
I guess my problem is the trees are not hazardous. They're in good health. The trees were there before the the installation of the fire pit. This policy is to remove hazardous trees. They're not hazardous to anything. I know they're disrupting the fire pit bit. Mostly from my observation, there's a little bit on the left-hand side there and the wood storage bin is getting pushed back because the trees are going there. But the trees themselves are very healthy.
There is a crack going through the fire pit now, through the center of it, because of that tree. And it's also become very unstable. The ground's become very uneven. When I purchased it, it was nice, flat, level area, but there is a crack going down the middle. My background is fire protection. I'm a fire safety engineer. I got my PhD in fire science. So I'm looking at it from a fire hazard perspective as well, because now you can start getting some flames coming out through the center of that fireplace.
Okay. That I did not see when we were out there.
There was a crack.
Did you, Rich?
I didn't, I guess I would have a hard time believing that the fire would catch the tree on fire. But can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, just starting to crack, each time it's cracking more and more. I'm not saying that right now, but there are starting to become big cracks in the fireplace that could.
Oh, but it's not endangering, not starting a fire, it's just cracking the.
Down the road, it could start a fire if it keeps cracking, yes. But there are cracks starting to emanate. Yes, that's the wood bin, you are correct. That is really the fireplace that I'm concerned about, cracking down the middle and that area becoming unstable to walk on.
Now, does that show anywhere on any of your pictures, Mr. Greeny?
I don't know anything about the trees, to be honest with you. And Tree Tech came out and they.
Tree Tech sent a letter.
Tree Tech came out.
And they did say that the pine trees, do you have that letter with you?
I think they have it.
Okay, is it there?
No.
So on that, there's a crack. May I step up? Approach. It's hard to see in this area, but there is a crack going down the middle here of this fireplace. And because of this being lifted up. So this is starting to crack that. And that's why I asked Ms. Rainey to come in to look at it, because I wanted that repaired to prevent further damage. And again, like I said, I purchased this way. I didn't build it this way, so I would have probably done it differently myself, but I am losing value in my property and it's becoming dangerous.
It's amazing somebody would plant pine trees that close to it.
Well,
I think
it's the other way around.
But that was not me.
I think they were there, yeah, they probably.
Yes, I'm sure the pine trees have been there longer than.
And if my memory serves me right, Bob, you can correct me, I believe those trees are well within 25 feet.
Oh, yes.
Water.
Oh, yeah.
Not 40 to 50 feet, as it says on the notice.
Yeah, because you just got one level down, and then you're at the water's edge.
That measurement wasn't mine. That measurement wasn't mine.
No, sorry, I'm just pointing out that
No,
it is.
I saw that too.
Well, 'cause I was surprised.
I saw that
Yeah, I
too.
think when Tree Tech was there, we were looking at the numbers, so yeah.
Yeah, they just,
Yep.
that's what tree guys do.
And it says 2 pine trees.
Yes.
There's one right behind.
One behind.
One right behind
here.
it.
One right behind.
There's
Right
one
behind
right
it, yep.
against the back, and there's one to the side.
This one, here's this wood
Right,
bin.
right.
That's being affected. And I just noticed little
The paving stones.
pavements
the
in
flat
this
ones, yeah.
area, yeah.
And how far away is the one in the back?
Right.
It's right up against it as well.
It is.
Yes.
Well, it's a little bit further. It's not as close as the one in the front, on the side.
Might be a
Right.
foot and a half off of it.
Yeah, I think that's about right. This one is like in 6 inches of it.
Yeah.
But then the trees themselves are
They're perfectly healthy.
very healthy.
Yeah. I don't suppose Tree Tech did a bore or anything to determine whether the trees were rotten or?
They didn't do that. They wrote a letter saying that because they're pine trees are shallow roots, so there is a hazard of them blowing over onto the house because of how tall they are. So they did provide that letter.
Well, your fireplace is holding them in place.
It's a nice fireplace. It'd be a shame that
It is a nice
have that thing,
It's a
you know what I mean? It
beautiful
really is.
fireplace. Yeah.
Whoever built it back years ago, they did it. And it's all cracked. It's starting to crack. It's
Yeah, and that-
deteriorating. It's a shame to have to knock it down.
Welcome, Jim.
No,
Hey, good evening.
I don't know.
You're still on
Better
mute.
late than never.
Ah. Did you get down to look at the fireplace trees issue?
No, I did not.
Okay. I'm just wondering you're not a lawyer, but what's your unofficial opinion? The trees themselves are very healthy.
They're within 25 feet.
Within 25 feet of the water. They are disturbing the fireplace, but is that reason to remove the trees?
Or a tree.
I think, and they're going to cause structural damage to the fireplace, right?
They are
They're not
causing it,
removed.
yes.
Eventually, they
Looks like
will.
They may have, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least one of them.
At least one of them.
Yeah.
Well, no, the back of it, the back.
I don't see why that shouldn't be cut.
Okay, as I said, when I was out there, I did not notice the structural damage to the fire pit itself. But I don't want to set a precedent of cutting healthy trees either.
Right. I mean, but healthy trees still can be destructive in the sense that they're not the type of tree that falls on a structure and damages a structure, but their root system, where they grow, maybe in such close proximity to a structure that they can damage it. Right?
True, but it's not like the house that they're damaging. It's just
Yeah. Good question. It's, any comments from?
I saw the pictures of it earlier on. I remember Jane talking about it. I have not gone out to see it. I mean, I see both sides of this argument.
Yeah.
You know, and it's,
That's not helpful.
no, it isn't at all.
That's not
Only you
helpful.
had planted them or built it there, then we could blame it all on
You
you.
can blame it on me, right? But that's where, I'm appealing to you, is like, I did not do this. I bought it with, owning a home that had a beautiful, fireplace in the back. It was not like I'd made this decision, but now I'm suffering because of what that's doing. It's going to cost a lot to either demo it, because they will eventually keep growing, keep getting damaged, or I'm going to have to continuously keep repairing it, and like I said, there are now possible trip hazards, because I think there's one of those pictures that shows how the cobbles are starting to become offset and with the edge.
Yes.
And I do have family, I have elderly parents that come out, visit me, got a niece and nephew that come out. So there's all these risks that this is starting to pose now, because that tree is.
I can see where the one on the side is probably a definite affecting the structure. The one in the back, I'm a little more skeptical of. It is 1.5 feet away. Pine roots don't come up usually. They're usually short. And
Your thoughts on that from a structural perspective?
I'd be all right if you took the one out,
I think that's the one that's really
Okay.
an issue.
Are you good with it?
Could you do it one for one?
I mean, if the other one eventually starts doing something, then I would say come back to us. And
Okay.
I just don't want to do any, repairing that patio, doing anything until at least that one in the front's gone.
yeah, no, I can see that.
I don't want to see him waste his money.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to cut roots to
Yeah.
fix any of that anyways.
I'd be amenable to that if you just agreed to that one that's definitely not causing damage, sure.
Think that?
Now, if you do remove a tree, there's a policy about mitigation. And is there room for any planting of mitigation, native shrubs, plants to, it will never.
It's a small lot, it's tight now.
Yeah, it is.
There's not much to do anything, really, unless you put something along the shoreline.
Yeah.
But
Let's figure something that we could plant on the shoreline.
we could do low blueberry bushes, right?
Yeah. I think maybe leave it up to John to
To
really
figure out what would be
figure
right
out
there.
what would
That
be.
sounds good to me. yeah.
What's on the show? I don't remember.
There's the brick wall, I have the stone wall that runs right along the back part.
Could, put some blueberries right in front of them, and the birds would be very happy for them. Some
Slow
local-
ones, not tall, you know what we were
The
talking
low
about.
bush
They're-
We can find one.
Yeah. I think that would, we'll do a swap there.
Pine for some blueberries?
Yeah. The birds will love you for it. So somebody want to make a motion then to allow the removal of the one tree?
I'll make a motion to allow the removal of the one tree from 84 Ridge Road.
Are you saying like
to
the tree on the left, the tree on the right?
To the...
Bigger tree, the smaller
I
tree?
got to take my left and my right first.
Yeah.
Left of the fire.
If you're looking at the fire pit, will be the one to the left.
The one to the left of the fire pit versus the one behind the fire pit will stay.
And anything that we do will be done with wheelbarrows. You saw the lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I almost want to walk away from it, to be honest with you.
Well, they must have to use a bucket truck to get...
Well, the tree, they'll do the tree.
Get the tree
Yeah,
out.
but I'm talking, when they do the patio, when I rip the
They'll crane it,
patio up,
probably.
it's all going to be
Crane over the house.
down
yeah.
that hill with, it's,
Do I hear a second to that?
I'll second. Oh, no, I did it, didn't I?
You've made the motion.
Second.
Yeah, I hear a second down there. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, do we have anything else?
I want to make the commission aware, I don't know if it's got passed around or not, but
There's someone in the audience, though.
Did you have anything else to on the?
No, sir, I
Okay.
just visit.
Okay, good.
Listen and then throw things in there that I don't know anything about.
So the NRC is going to be applying to the DEP to do core sampling around where all the floating islands are.
Okay,
So right now, they're in the mix of trying to figure out how many. It's in an effort to get rid of the floating islands, which would incur dredging some of the Neponset.
oh, interesting. What are the floating islands? Are they basically
It's peat.
cedar stumps and
No,
peat?
no, it's peat that comes up because of the gas that's being released by the decomposing of the peat. The air bubbles get up underneath the peat, some of the peat that's loose, and it pops up, and it's pretty thick. And if you hit it with a motorboat, you'd know it.
Okay.
So is it like a safety issue? Is that the
Yeah,
reason for
yeah,
getting rid of
it's
them?
part of it, yeah. They reoccur every single year.
Is it a specific spot?
Yes, yeah, it's one spot. There was I'll pass it around again. There was a map. I'll pass it to Diana, and she can send
Okay.
it to everyone.
So if that involves dredging, what about disturbance of cadmium and all that fun stuff?
Well, that goes along with the dredging, yeah. But they've always taken the stance, we always have, that eventually it's going to need dredging because it's too shallow a resource area to let, it's going to, the decomposing leaves are going to eventually build up where it's too shallow to even run boats and a lot of it's just an average of 4 feet deep, so.
No, I've gotten my prop stuck in there more than a couple times. Yeah, no, I think I know what you're talking about. All right. All right, could I shift gears into that? Because this leads right into it. What about, speaking of cadmium, our pile of dirt that's sitting on somebody's property that, like, have we had any?
Nothing.
It's with the lawyers, that's all we know.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
And I think that was it. Oh, they're also still, everyone's looking now for water access now that Heaton's are, the person that lives at Heaton's right now isn't interested in maintaining that access.
Oh.
So everyone's concerned about how they're gonna get their
Boats
larger
in it.
boats in and out. It's literally the only
Right.
access point that's available. They asked if we had any land that we don't, that I'm aware of, that's accessible for
Yeah.
boats to be able to
Yeah.
launch.
And also police and fire, fire.
No, they were all right, because they can get in, the
Like a
fishing
sports
game, will let them in, fishing game won't let anybody else in it, they don't even want anything to do with it.
Okay.
And they can get in Edwards Road as well, even with the boulders there.
Okay.
But they use the fishing game for the most part. And if they
Okay.
had to in a pinch, I guess Kersey is also a spot. that they-
Yeah.
But given the, Heaton's is gonna go away, and we don't know, unless the town of Foxborough was interested in buying it
Yeah.
for public access, I don't think so.
No.
But they will lose
Special town
access.
meeting.
Huh?
Special town meeting.
Special town meeting, yeah.
Put that one on the
What-
agenda.
What they're trying to do is to identify somebody that lives on the lake that might be willing to allow.
Oh, okay.
You said people that live in the lake that are using that, they just don't have access from their own property?
Correct,
to
yeah, they
get into it?
can't, they're putting pontoon boats in there, and
Okay.
and so they take those out of the water. And if you don't have the yard that facilitates
Which is a
pulling
lot
up,
of the
which is a
yards.
lot, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So we also have to beware if someone wants to create a boat lane and just for the residents of the reservoir,
and that could come up too, yeah.
they need to come to us because that means
Yeah,
construction.
well, they know that, yeah, the NRC knows that.
Yeah.
But,
We own a piece of land on the reservoir off of Ridge Road. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
I don't, I think it's a little shallow in that cove. But,
Yeah.
It's right next to that, determination that we made of that land. On
The hill,
the hill.
yeah.
And you go just a little bit beyond it, there's a town property there.
Would you mind sending to Diane the minutes from when you get them?
Oh, yes. I never think you do that.
That way you won't be in the same.
All right, anything else? Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right?
Opposed?
Aye.
None?